Alright, so we're going to do haggai, or haggai. Haggai, how's it going? Alright, so it starts out with this idea of time. People are saying it's not yet time to build the temple. Remember that in the previous book in Zephaniah, they had said, at that time I will bring you in, I will gather you together, and I will restore your fortunes, right? There are a lot of prophecies made about this time, and now people are saying, it's not yet time to rebuild the temple. And God is trying to say, it is time, the appointed time has come. Then you get into the curses, the ruined houses, and the curses. So he says you've got a low return on investment because my house lies in ruins. And then he says there's all these other Levitical curses, the blight and the mildew and all that stuff. Okay, and then he has obedience, presence, obedience. So these two rulers precede the obedience. Then he has the statement about the presence, and then the two rulers precede the obedience. So you have curses, presence, curses, and then obedience, presence, obedience. So Zerubbabel and Joshua, these two names will be very important because they're kind of the kingly and priestly offices, which will be picked up in Zechariah. These two, with all the remnant, they obeyed the voice of their God. Then Haggai said, I am with you, declares the Lord. And this theme of current presence or present presence unites the first and the second visions. Even though 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 are most alike, you've still got this theme of the presence. So I am with you, declares the Lord. And then it says again that they built the house of the Lord, and it took them 23 days to respond, apparently. So it gets back to the time. It's sort of mentioning the time again, I think. So you could look at this as going time, curses, ruined house, curses, obedience, presence, obedience. And then I don't know if that's the time again. I don't know. All right, so let's go do these last three visions. There's some debate as to whether or not Haggai has a total of 5 visions or just 4. If you want to see these as 2 different occasions, then you could see it as 5. A lot of people just see that as 1 vision. So the second vision, this one is it's a lot of really cool stuff. So what I like about this one is the mentioning of the covenant and the presence. This gets at the current state of Israel. So basically the macro structure of 2 is the former glory, the present presence, and the latter greater glory. So it starts out talking about those who is left among you who saw this house in its former glory. How do you see it now? Is it not as nothing in your eyes? So there's your former glory. And then he talks about the present presence. So A, be strong, O Joshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest. Be strong, all you people of the land, declares the Lord. Work, for I am with you. And that's parallel to this fear not statement at the end, right? And then he says, for I am with you is parallel to this, my spirit remains in your midst. I am with you, my spirit remains in your midst. And then he says, according to the covenant that I made with you when you came out of Egypt. So rather than the covenant having been annulled and no longer in effect, and that Ezekiel presence that left now no longer being with the people of Israel, he's trying to say, my spirit is still in your midst, and the covenant is still in operation, and my spirit is in your midst according to the covenant. Very important for the people to know that. Yeah, they know that it's not like the former glory, but still there is operation of the covenant still in effect. Then he says, the latter glory of this house will be greater than the former glory of the house. And this is actually broken up into 3 parts as well, which are parallel to the last vision. So the shaking of everything, the treasures of the nations coming in, right? Implying the conquest of the nations. And then 3 is the latter glory will be greater than the former glory. So I will fill this house with glory. So that's a reference to the coming of Christ, but talking about his presence, right? The Holy Spirit. And just talking about the glory of Christ as well, right? Okay, so then the third vision is parallel to the first vision because it's talking about the obedience of the people and how it relates to the curses. And it's very interesting. He gives this example of he basically says that holiness is not contagious, and that if you have a holy garment and it touches something and it touches something else, it doesn't make it holy, right? But he says that uncleanness is contagious, basically, and that the people who were disobedient were bringing their offerings, right, with the idea that the holiness was contagious, and that the offering would therefore make them clean. And he's trying to tell them, no, it's the opposite way around. The uncleanness is what's contagious. And so your disobedience is going to actually make the offering itself unclean. What they offer there is unclean. Before stone was placed upon stone on the temple, Lord, how did you fare? So at this point, he gets into an argument that is very similar to Malachi's, which is that, but in Malachi's it was, if you bring in the tithe, and now watch and see what's going to happen. And here he says, you guys have started obeying the voice of the Lord and building the temple. Now watch what's going to happen. Basically, a reversal of the curses. So it's very interesting. Not just the presence is with them according to the covenant, but even the covenantal blessings and curses are back in operation. Then the last vision, number 4, is very parallel to the end of vision number 2, because he's talking about shaking everything. I'm about to shake the heavens and the earth. That's a merism for everything. Then overthrow the kingdoms and the nations, right? But then instead of it saying the latter glory is greater than the former glory, it's going to say, in that day I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, and I will make you like a signet ring, for I have chosen you, declares the Lord of hosts. So previously we're talking about the greater glory, and I will fill this house with my glory. It's kind of a reference to the second person of the Trinity. And here, obviously, if you've got a messianic figure, it's a reference to the first person of the Trinity. Okay. Also, this could be seen as a priestly idea, the temple being filled with the glory. It's kind of usually associated with that. And this is more of a kingly function, which, remember, we've got Joshua and Zerubbabel being the main people we're looking at here for the offices being combined, which anticipates Zechariah.